It's your business bestie, Lauren Goldstein, award-winning business consultant and advisor, back for another episode of the Biz Doctor Podcast to help you have the freedom you started your business for. Welcome to this very special milestone episode. This is episode 100 of the Biz Doctor Podcast, which is wild. I honestly can't believe it. Something that started out as a love letter to business owners who want the freedom they started their business for, to an actual movement and body of work that has changed how people view life and business, and grown me in ways I didn't even know would happen. Doing this show for you has made me confront some of my biggest demons and life lessons that I'm so excited to share with you today. I am still shocked when someone says they listen and share how something I said impacted them. It's a totally wild ride to talk into a microphone and never see the true ripple effects that you have. When I started this journey, I never imagined the incredible conversations I'd have, the businesses I'd transform, or the community that is starting to form. Today, I'm celebrating you, the listeners who have made this possible, and saying from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I appreciate you listening, sharing, and supporting over the past 4 seasons to get us to this epic milestone more than you know. Whether you've been here since day one or this is your first episode, thank you for being here. This episode is special and one for the record books. I reviewed all 99 episodes and I'm sharing the most powerful lessons not only from those episodes, but from my podcast journey. So without further ado, here are the top 10 lessons I've learned from hundreds of hours of interviews, research, and my continued PhD studies in the School of Life. First up, do it messy. Now this one really, as a recovering perfectionist, triggers me, perhaps the most. I have a habit of secretly launching things and getting ready to get ready to get ready. But my dear friend Courtney reminded me that there's so much power in doing it messy and building the muscle of getting rewarded even when it's not perfect, and prioritizing momentum and progress over perfection so that you can keep going, still try things out. The magic is in the mess. And like I said, I'm a recovering perfectionist, so this one's pretty tough for me, but it is kind of freeing to just say, you know, this is good enough. Number 2, be annoying. I'm using air quotes here. Be annoying. You need to talk about it 5 times more than you think. This one is actually really surprising for me because as I was preparing this 100th episode, and feeling a little bit of what I would call podcast brain block about what I was actually going to talk about, I got told several times, wait, you have a podcast? How did I not know that? And y'all, this is blowing my mind because I think I talk about this a lot. I think I annoy people. I think that, I'm just out there talking about it day in and day out. But you know what? That's not actually true. I'm not talking about it as much as I think I am, but more than that, with the amount of content that we consume, I'm sure that the people I want to actually see and listen in, like you, are only seeing, 1% of what I post? And so this is a reminder to you and to myself that unless somebody is literally saying to you, dude, shut up, you are so annoying. I don't want to hear about your podcast or your business or your services or whatever you're passionate about in this moment, you got to talk more about it. Talk more about it until somebody literally says, shut the heck up. I don't want you to talk about this anymore. I got it. You got a podcast. You got a business. How can I support? But please, for the love of God, stop talking about it. With that, where are you thinking that you're talking enough about what you do and what your goals are and what your passions are, but you're not? This is my invitation to you to quote unquote be annoying. Number 3, it's the little things. So this is one of my favorite premises called the slight edge. The little things over time add up to big swings, either towards or away from what you really want. And it's easy sometimes to let something slide. Oh, I'll do that tomorrow, or it's okay. It's just a pizza today. But the reality is those little micro choices we make every day eventually are the difference between being on track and being off track. Another analogy that I love to use for this to illustrate this is a plane on autopilot. Now, when a pilot puts in the route, let's say you're flying from New York to Rome, during the course of autopilot and the whole path, the plane is making microscopic adjustments in longitude and latitude and speed and all of these different things so that you end up in Rome instead of the Netherlands. The same is true for our lives. And I think it's really easy to cheat us out of getting where we want to go because we're like, oh, it's 5 more minutes on the snooze button. I don't need to go for a walk today, or I'll just put it off till tomorrow. But the reality is those little choices add up to big sums. And it's just a matter of choose your hard. It's hard to get up early and do the thing that you don't want to do. It's kind of hard to have the sales calls that make you uncomfortable as somebody who really doesn't love sales calls. But you know what? Those positive choices also get you farther faster because it's starting to build momentum, to make you more resilient, to make you more excited to do the things that you want to do. And then, of course, this is from my dear friend, Michael Roderick, who you've heard 2 times on this podcast. He talks about the tennis novice versus the tennis pro. And the tennis novice, they miss the shot and then suddenly the game is over, right? They're a slave to the outcome. They're like, ugh, they're just beating themselves up about it. Also been there. However, I play more pickleball. The tennis pro, though, they miss the shot and they're just like, the game is just beginning. I got the next shot. I'm going to watch the game tape and see what I did wrong, see what I can change for next time. They're a student of the process. And I think that that's something that's really important with it's the little things. When you can enjoy the process and not necessarily the outcome, where you detach from the results, then you're able to enjoy the things that you can actually have control over. Because a lot of it, we don't have control over, which I will talk about in a few minutes. So with the little things, my question to you is, when you look at your life and what you want, what you say you want, whether it's in your business or your life, what are the little things that you're doing or not doing that are keeping you from getting where you want to go? And start there. Number 4, let success be your noise. Now, this is an actual really interesting psychology and neuroscience one that I wanted to put in here because I've always known about it, but I hadn't actually really felt it in my soul until recently. You see, when we have a goal or something we're really excited about and we haven't accomplished it yet, but we talk to people about it and then they get excited and they celebrate and they get excited and we celebrate, even though we haven't gotten there yet, then all of a sudden that motivation starts to get stripped away. And then you find yourself not as excited or not as motivated. And honestly, there's sometimes when you're just not motivated and you got to do it anyway. But the reason for this is because this feeling of accomplishment and pride and celebration that we were going to get when we got there, well, we kind of already got it just by telling people. And so it's a really interesting way that your brain self-sabotages you not to get to the goal that you want to get to. So with this one, my invitation to you and a reminder to myself is let success be your noise. Whatever you're working on, hold it close, keep it secret, keep it in a tight circle if you need support or feedback or something like that. Don't let the illusion of accomplishment drain the goal. I promise it's going to be worth it. And celebrating it when it's done is going to be so much richer than celebrating it while you're in the process. This next one comes with a little warning. So I was recently giving one of my most popular keynote talks, Culture RX, having mentally happier, healthier, and more resilient teams. And at the end of all my talks, I always have this little feedback form that people fill out. And I talked to 40 people and got 39 10 out of 10s. And then I got an 8 out of 10 with the comment, maybe a little less cussing. Well, sorry, folks. If you are new to the Biz Doctor podcast, we cuss a little. Sometimes it's for emphasis, and sometimes it's just because you gotta let loose. So this is the next one. Fuck sunk costs. Try saying that 5 times fast. But truly, fuck them. So long, so often we stay in relationships or we hold on to employees or contractors or contracts or whatever it is because we're like, oh, we've invested so much time in this project or this person or this relationship, and we would just be silly to cut our losses. Listen to me when I say this. Sometimes cutting your losses is the best possible thing. So say it with me. Fuck sunk costs. If you got to get out, get out. And this is also a little moment of giving you permission to change. As I think sometimes as business owners and entrepreneurs and dare I say type A people who love closed loops, sometimes we think that we got to finish what we start. And y'all, sometimes we really do. And sometimes it sucks being in the middle and being like, oh my God, am I ever going to get there? But sometimes the pivot, the change, the release and saying this is not working, we got to get out is really empowering. So know the difference. Know when you need to stick it out and when you need to say, fuck those sunk costs and just 86 yourself out. Speaking of 86ing yourself out, number 6, it's all between your ears. This one is one of the ones that I still work on continually day to day. It's a constant muscle that I'm building because I'm realizing, and hopefully you realize too, that the 3 pounds of spicy meatloaf between your ears, between my ears, is truly my biggest advocate or saboteur. But the choice is mine. The truth is, we are all making it up. Everything that we are experiencing day to day is the exact result of what our brain is creating context and stories around. It's filtering in all this information, all of this context, all of this history, and saying, oh, this happened, so that must mean X. So with that, if we're always creating a story and we're always making it up, it's either serving you or sabotaging you. And I want you to know that because I know that. It's still a struggle for me. But so often the stories that have made up in my brain, holy smokes, they're 100% keeping me stuck or afraid or from not doing something or from secretly launching something yet again because I'm like, oh, what if people don't like it? Or, somebody hasn't responded in a few days and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're mad at me or they hate me or God forbid they've died. That's not very helpful. And so if you ever find yourself making up a story that ultimately is not helping you get where you want to go and is not supporting you and serving you, I don't know, nickname your brain and be like, Delilah, you need to cut it out. I don't know where Delilah came from, but that's her name now. Because listen, when you can take back your power and say, this is not an empowering story that I'm going to be the co-author of anymore, amazing things happen. So much success, so many relationships or opportunities or whatnot are just on the other side of our itty bitty shitty committee in between our ears. Shifting a little bit from the brain to the brain of your business, let's talk about the paradox of systems. Now, I'm sorry, this is probably going to trigger you more than it triggers me because I love systems. But so often in my work in consulting and advising, I see my clients bucking systems because they're like, but I want the freedom. I want the creativity. I don't want, to be trapped. I get it. Trust me, I get it. However, the paradox of systems is the more systems and structure you have that makes your business, your life, etc., more predictable, proven, fill in the blank, actually, the more freedom and play you have because you don't have the mental load of trying to manage all of these moving parts and pieces that could go any number of directions because it runs like clockwork. So systems actually allow you to be more creative, to be more in flow because it's not impacting all the things and you're not controlling all the spinning plates. It's truly one of the most freeing things to have the proactivity and expectation that when you do X, Y happens so that you can have a business that's running and proven, also a life that's running and proven, and then have a a little 5-acre sandbox over here where you can just do what you want. You can be creative. You can test new things, but you're not going to be what I lovingly refer to as a seagull leader and swooping in, shitting all over everything, and then flying away. Instead, you have a very controlled environment that you get to go have fun and play in while the rest of the business, the rest of your life can run and support you. It's really friggin' awesome. Number 8, mastering the art of letting go. Okay, sorry, this is probably back-to-back triggers for y'all, but here we go. This is about mastering the art of letting go without losing control. Because here's the thing about life, business, everything. There's so very little that we can actually control. And having that death grip on control is just going to keep you, me, everybody, and their mother stuck. Trust me, I've been there, done that. There's so much power in surrender. Now, I'm not saying you should just say, fuck it, whatever, I'm just going to go with the flow. I mean, sometimes you should actually say that. But most often, especially with your business, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, especially with teams and delegating and heck, even kids, you just kind of got to let them do it. You have to be a good enough leader to make sure they're clear on the definition of done and what their expectations are. And make sure you have the right butts in the right seats because they can actually do the job. Then you gotta let them go do their job. And here's the fun thing. If you've not heard me talk about players versus worker bees, go find that episode. But when you're working with players that actually want to run with you, it is so much more fun to not have the control turned up to 11 and let them actually go run the football down the field. Sure, they're never going to do it the way you do it. And that's okay. Sometimes, spoiler alert, they do it better, faster, more efficiently. I mean, it's pretty actually awesome when you're like, wow, I never would have thought to do that, and this is fantastic. But if you never let them do that, how will you know? And here's another spoiler. If they fuck it up, like really, truly, this is actually a rule in a lot of my businesses. Unless there is bone, blood, or someone is unconscious or something is on fire, literally on fire, not a metaphorical things are on fire, actual fire and flames, it's not a true emergency. I think we think a lot of our business is an emergency. Like if we don't get this done right now, the world's going to end. And here's the reality, it's not. Like so rarely is it ever going to end if you don't respond to that client email in 5 minutes. If Amazon web servers go down, probably everybody's website is down. So let it go. But I think what's so important and fun with this is when you master the art of letting go and not feeling like you're losing control, life just gets so much more fun. You get to play with people that want to be on the field of play with you. You get creative new ideas. You get your time back, which honestly is one of the biggest ways to grow your business because the white space, the intentional white space of your business is where growth and scalability happens because you finally can get yourself out of the merry-go-round of just doing and busy and solve the big problems that the company needs you to solve. So this is probably one of your biggest unlocks. So come back and listen to this little section, but I promise when you can master this, it will be a heck of a lot more fun. Number 9, be a laser, not a flashlight. So this one is for all my ADHDers out there, my squirrels, my shiny object syndrome peeps. If you take nothing else away from this episode, let it be this. Be a laser, not a flashlight. The more you diffuse your passions, your gifts, your time, your expertise, your intention, the longer things will take. That's being a flashlight. But by being a laser and being immensely focused on the thing in front of you and being present and finishing and all of that, you will quantum leap and have momentum in ways that you cannot imagine. Being a mile deep and an inch wide versus a mile wide and an inch deep, that has truly changed everything in my life and my business. I do it with deep work. I do it with products and services and people. When you can really focus in and be laser-like, It's so fun and amazing how your list of things that you've been drudging through for weeks suddenly gets done. And you like breathe this really amazing sigh of relief. And you're like, actually, that thing that I was avoiding or thought would take 17 hours took me 2. That's the power of intention and being laser focused on where you put your intention. This is also why I'm a big, big proponent of scheduling deep work and admin days in your business. That's another episode. Go back and listen to it. But remember that lasers cut diamonds. Flashlights, some of them are powerful, but most of them you can't see 20 feet in front of you. A laser, you can see hundreds of yards. So imagine how much your business, your life, your relationships, your to-do list, whatever it is going to benefit from you having focused, laser-like intention and time to just get some shit done. Number 10, you gotta know the destination. And this one is a little bit like the quote, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up anywhere. Which really, I'm going to date myself here, but it reminds me of the days when we had MapQuest and we'd print it off and we were thinking we were going to someone's house and we end up in a field or a dead end. I mean, I lived in a small town, so it was really like the Hunger Games. But the point is, even though I knew where I wanted to go, I didn't have the best GPS. So it's a two-parter, right? You got to know the destination, but then you also have to have the right GPS. Why this is so important is I spend a lot of time with my business owners and clients really coming back to, what do you want? What is the destination you're going to? Like, you started your business because you wanted to solve a problem. And then you woke up, congratulations, with a successful business and team and a life that you're trying to shoehorn around your business instead of the freedom that you started your business for. The reason for that is because we didn't re-clarify the destination. We just kind of let the car wander around the streets and hoped that we would get there. That's not a good plan. In fact, it's one of the number one ways that you're going to end up burned out and resentful. My advice to you for this one is, if you haven't, now is the perfect time to take a day, take a weekend, take a walk, and really think about the business and the life that you want. Like, what are you building? What are your goals? How much time do you want to spend in it? What is it providing for you and your family? And is it fitting you? Like, sometimes we outgrow our businesses, and that's okay too. Sometimes it's just a little tweak. Sometimes it needs to get sold. Sometimes somebody else needs to run it. But you won't know unless you know the destination. So figure out, what is that vision? How do you want to be in the driver's seat of your life? Because I think, at least for me, I'll speak for me, there's a lot of times where I've just been the co-pilot and just letting things happen. And then I get frustrated when we don't meet our goals. And the reality is, back to the slight edge I talked about before, it's the little things. Re-clarifying the vision more than you think you should. Like, I do a visioning a couple times a year to make sure that what I said I wanted is still what I want. Because here's another spoiler. Just because you said you wanted it doesn't mean you still have to want it. So a great example, one of my clients has a $10 million business and they wanted to get to 15. And as we're going there, going 11, 12, 13, we have a call and she's like, I don't want to grow it to 15 anymore. And I don't know what to do. And I said, great, let's do something different. Because just because you have a number or a team size or whatever the goal is, and you think that's what you want, it's okay to say, actually, that's not what I want. Because here's the sneaky thing about the little things. When you start doing those things, when you start doing that turn by turn, then you start to get feedback. And feedback is amazing because when you're in flow and you're getting feedback about your process, your business, your goals, it's helping you check in and say, yeah, I still want this, or no, I don't. So sometimes, I'm not saying this is you, but I've seen this in me. Sometimes I didn't want to set a goal because I was like, well, what if I don't make it? Or what if I do make it? Here's the thing, set the goal and see who you become in the process of getting to that goal. All right, I'm going to give you one bonus because you know I love giving extra. No one's opinion matters but yours. The truth is that unless somebody truly has the life that you want, I'm talking the exact business, wealth, relationship, health, whatever it is, I hate to say it, but it's kind of true. Their opinion doesn't matter. So if you have haters out there or people who just don't get your vision, I've had people like that. You have to stop and think, why do I care? How much weight does this person's opinion carry? Because if you let people who aren't in the arena with me, with you, who aren't doing the things, make me or you question what you're doing, that's giving them way too much power. And I think that might be one of the biggest lessons in all of these 99 episodes. The persons whose opinion matters the most, it's yours. Am I proud of me? Am I committed? Am I doing what I need to do? Am I being courageous? Am I in the arena every day? Or am I letting my itty-bitty shitty committee and self-doubt get the better of me? It's me versus me. It's you versus you. Someone said you'll never get criticized by somebody doing more than you. You'll never get criticized by somebody who's wealthier than you. You'll never get criticized by somebody who's healthier than you. It's always the people who aren't that are the loudest. I'm going to get the statistic wrong, but I think it's for every criticism, we need 5 to 8 positive reaffirmations. And so I think that's why we sometimes get so stuck on what somebody said that wasn't supportive. So let this be the permission you needed to, when somebody gives you a piece of feedback, I don't know, try it on, see if it fits, sure, because sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees and we need somebody who's not us to tell us what we're missing. But then ask, who's giving the feedback? Do I respect them? Do they have what I want and know where I'm going enough that this opinion really carries weight? Trust me, this one is very empowering and also kind of freeing. Because when you realize it's just you versus you, if you're just getting 1% better than you were yesterday, it's a wild ride of fun. And trust me, 1% might not seem like a lot, but it's a lot. We did it. 10 lessons from 99 episodes. It's just so wild for me to think that we are at 100. But again, because I love to give more, I couldn't let you go without one more lesson, perhaps the biggest life lesson. Knowledge is nothing without execution. Take action. Don't let this be another podcast episode you listen to and forget. Here's what I need you to do right now. Before you scroll to the next thing, pick the lesson that made you uncomfortable or excited, the one that made you go, oh shit, that's me. That's the one you need to fall in love with. Pick one, just one, and do something about it this week. I'm not going to get all sentimental here, but I will say this. Every single one of these lessons came from screwing up, figuring it out, and doing it again. That's business. That's life. So if you take nothing else from this episode, take this. You've got what it takes, and messy action makes magic. Do it messy. Be annoying and promote your business 5 times more than you are right now. Identify one thing you need to let go of. Become a laser on what actually moves the needle. If this episode resonated with you, please do me a huge favor. Share this episode and show with at least 5 of your friends, and then tag me on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever. I'm not on TikTok. But tell me which lesson was your biggest takeaway. Let's make this a conversation, not just a monologue, so I can see just how far the ripple effects go. Episode 100 is down. I can't wait to see where we are by episode 200. And to celebrate this milestone, here's a little highlight reel to look back at some of our favorite moments from the past 99 episodes. This is the Biz Doctor, Lauren Goldstein. I'll be waiting for you in the next episode. See you there, and until then, let success be your noise. I honestly don't know a single person that has died from public speaking, but I do know a heck of a lot of people that have changed their lives and countless others' lives because they had the courage to step on stage. My team knows that my joke is unless somebody is bleeding, there's bone showing, or someone's dying, it's not actually an emergency. Acting in crisis mode where emotions are heightened and critical thinking is lessened is a recipe for, you guessed it, more mistakes down the road.
Luck happens because you have lucky behaviors. As soon as you start to inject lucky behaviors, now you're starting to shift this cycle.
It is kind of an uphill battle in those first year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years, where you feel like you're just doing a lot of work for not a lot of gain. So hang in there. This was perhaps the scariest and most exhilarating moments of my business up till then. Blocking off a whole day to actually work on my business. This actually doubled my business. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, CEO, you know that 90% of the game is between your ears. A large portion of my advisory work with business owners like you is getting their brain to stop being a business blocker and instead a partner.
It's always more valuable to have someone else talking about you. And what happens with PR is that it establishes credibility and it helps position you as a thought leader or an industry expert or a leading industry expert thought leader.
If you think about it, every action, every moment, everything we do in our business and our personal lives creates a story. Sometimes it's a good story, sometimes it's not. Rather, sometimes it's a story that serves you and sometimes it's a story that doesn't.
Our essence is someone who likes to create, right? Likes to build and have that experience. Instead of throwing the baby out with bathwater, how do we do it differently?
Friends don't let friends WebMD their business. The reason I'm standing loud and proud on this soapbox is because I've seen this movie too many times before with clients who try to self-diagnose their business, and I know how it ends, and it isn't pretty or happy. You know, that quiet person in the office that you're kind of like, I know something's bothering them, but they won't talk about it. And then all of a sudden they erupt in the middle of a meeting or quit abruptly or something like that. And you're like, I never saw it coming. Chances are you did see it coming. You just didn't recognize the signs. When you're working on something and it's say 98% there, that's the time to rip the fear of death Band-Aid off and get it out there to get feedback. It's just information. The point is, you can't sell it, share it, or change the world if it isn't out there.
If one quarter you're $1 million up and the next quarter you're $1 million down and you don't know any of those things are going to happen, it's very hard to be successful. I find many CEOs aren't focused on the future. They walk into the office every day and they have to play whack-a-mole on the problems that happened yesterday and today.
I hid an Easter egg in the job description that required them to do something very specific to apply for the job. And if they didn't do it, they were out. Now that might sound harsh, but for this role and most of the roles I hire for, I'm looking for players, not worker bees. They go the extra mile and I know they'll find the Easter egg because they want an edge. The 1-3-1 rule. 1 clearly framed problem, because a problem well defined is half solved. 3 viable options to solve said problem, and then their 1 recommendation. If you and your leaders don't know the dreams and goals of your team and how their work with you helps them get closer to that dream, you are missing the mark in a big way, and it's going to cost you talent. What is your vision for your life and business in the next 12 months? Is it time, creative space, a bigger impact, an exit plan, different delegation? How about a vacation without stress? Or I don't know, all of the above? You've been listening to the Biz Doctor Podcast with me, Lauren Goldstein. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcast streaming platforms. To learn more about how we can help you have the freedom you started your business for, visit goldenkeypartnership.com.
An original
from Story Studio Network.